And I also said we were a perfect match of flaws. We went together very well, not necessarily for the right reasons.
What happens when a Hollywood legend decides to burn it all down? For 60 years, Sally Field was America's smiling, unassuming star. Everyone loved her. The girl next door, the flying nun, the Union hero. But behind her 2 Oscars and good girl charm, a different story was taking shape. It's a story of betrayal, a story of humiliation, a story of quiet rage that has festered for decades. Now, at 78 years old, Sally Field is done being silent. She's finally revealing the list she's kept for years. This isn't just any list. It contains the names of co-stars who made her life a living hell. These aren't petty disagreements or minor squabbles. These are career-defining clashes with some of Hollywood's most powerful men. Men you thought you knew. Legends whose public images are about to be shattered forever. And the first name on her list, the one who hurt her the most. The man whose on-screen love story captivated America. The same man whose private cruelty nearly broke her spirit completely. Number 1, Burt Reynolds. Their romance captivated America. Sally Field and Burt Reynolds became Hollywood's golden couple of the late 70s. They sizzled on screen with chemistry that made audiences believe their love was real. Smokey and the Bandit wasn't just a hit because of car chases. It was Sally's genuine-looking love for Burt that sold it to viewers everywhere. Behind closed doors, reality was much darker. Sally later revealed Burt as controlling and emotionally abusive. His charm masked a desperate need to dominate everything around him. He needed me to be small, quiet, admiring, Sally confessed in her memoir. When I wasn't those things, he'd punish me with silence or remarks that crushed my sense of worth. The psychological games never stopped. One day he showered her with affection. The next day he criticized her weight, her acting, even her laugh. In public came compliments. In private came cruelty. During interviews, his hand on her arm looked affectionate to cameras. In reality, it was actually a warning signal for her to stop talking. I became smaller around him, Sally admitted. I learned to watch his moods, to make myself less, so he could be more. The final blow came when Sally won her Oscar for Norma Ray. Instead of celebrating her achievement, Burt's jealousy surfaced. He questioned whether she truly deserved the award. I wanted to love him. I did love him. But he hurt me, Sally revealed in a rare, candid moment. And the worst part was, I let him do it. Their relationship eventually collapsed under the weight of his insecurities and her growing self-worth. These emotional scars shaped her relationships for decades afterward. And Burt Reynolds was just the beginning of Sally's Hollywood heartbreaks. Number 2, Tommy Lee Jones. On the set of Back Roads, Sally Field encountered not a collaborator, but a wall of ice. Jones barely acknowledged her existence. He refused even basic professional courtesy. He would walk onto set, hit his marks, deliver his lines, and leave, a crew member revealed. It was like watching someone punch a time clock rather than create art. Sally tried everything to connect with him. She discussed character motivations. She suggested improvements for scenes. She even tried cracking jokes. Jones responded with cold stares or simply walked away. I wasn't just acting with a cold character, Sally later confessed to a friend. I was actually acting with a cold person. There's no way to create warmth when someone is determined to freeze you out. The tension became so obvious that crew members started taking sides. Some pitied Sally's rejected efforts. Others whispered that Jones considered himself too serious for a TV actress. This despite her 2 Emmy wins. Critics immediately noticed the disconnect. The phrase lacking chemistry appeared in nearly every review. What they couldn't see was that this wasn't bad acting. It was real-life frost between the stars. Years later, when asked about difficult co-stars, Sally would pause before answering. Some actors believe that warmth is weakness. They confuse coldness with depth. It's actually the opposite. She never worked with Jones again, but cold indifference wasn't the worst Sally would face in Hollywood. Some co-stars didn't just ignore her, they actively tried to destroy her. Number 3, Robert Blake. Robert Blake wasn't just difficult on set, he was catastrophic. When Sally Field arrived to film Say Goodbye, Maggie Cole, she encountered one of Hollywood's most volatile personalities in full meltdown mode. Blake created chaos from day one. He deliberately sabotaged scenes by changing lines without warning. This left Sally unable to prepare her emotional responses. It wasn't spontaneity, a crew member later revealed, it was sabotage. Blake's behavior grew increasingly erratic. He'd be eerily calm one morning, then explode at crew the next. He'd storm off set over trivial issues like the wrong coffee. Sometimes he'd leave simply because the energy was wrong. The production became a hostage situation. Everyone walked on eggshells around him. For Sally, the experience was traumatic. She had built her career on emotional authenticity. He didn't just want the spotlight, she later confided to a friend. He wanted to make sure nobody else could shine in it either. The breaking point came during a simple dialogue scene. Blake deliberately ruined the seventh take by suddenly shouting his lines. Sally finally confronted him. "This isn't art, this is sabotage." Blake laughed in her face. Then, he abandoned the set for 3 hours while everyone waited. The production collapsed soon after. The film was shelved, a casualty of Blake's destructive behavior. Years later, when asked about difficult co-stars, Sally would only say, "There are actors who act, and there are actors who try to make everyone else small so they feel big." But while Blake's chaos was obvious to everyone on set, the next actor on Sally's list hid his manipulation. He concealed it behind intellectual superiority and charm. Number 4, James Woods. Their work on Kiss Me Goodbye should have been light-hearted. Instead, Sally Field found herself on a psychological battlefield. Woods wielded his intellect like a weapon. During rehearsals, he'd interrupt her with "actually" before launching into exhausting lectures about character motivation. He'd use enormous words, Sally confided to a friend. Not to clarify anything, but to make sure everyone knew he was the smartest person in the room. He would rewrite dialogue moments before filming. This forced Sally to adapt instantly, while he had practiced his improvements for hours. When she stumbled, his satisfied look said everything. Between takes came the real damage. "You seem distracted today," he'd whisper before emotional scenes. "Maybe you're not connecting with the character." These subtle jabs planted seeds of doubt that bloomed into full insecurity. Sally once drew from personal experiences for a vulnerable scene. The director praised her performance. Then Woods leaned in and said, "Interesting choice. I thought we were making a comedy, not a Lifetime movie." The comment devastated her. "There's a difference between pushing someone to be better and pushing someone down," she later reflected. Woods mastered the second while pretending to do the first. After Kiss Me Goodbye, Sally made herself a promise. Never again would she allow intimidation, disguised as intellectual superiority, to silence her artistic voice. But while Woods left emotional bruises, the next actor on her list would inflict a deeper wound. It would change how she viewed Hollywood's most celebrated talents forever. Number 5, Dustin Hoffman. To the world, Hoffman represented acting excellence. His name commanded respect in every Hollywood boardroom. But Sally Field saw a side of him that made her question everything about her industry. Their paths crossed during auditions for a project that never materialized. What should have been a chance to work with cinema royalty became her most demeaning professional experience ever. Hoffman established dominance from the moment she entered the room. He lounged with producers and laughed at inside jokes. This instantly made Sally feel like an outsider before she spoke a single line. When she began reading, he interrupted her repeatedly. "That's not how the character would say it," he'd cut in mid-sentence. "Maybe try it with less emotion," he'd suggest, with clear condescension. Each interruption wasn't just criticism. It was a public dismantling of her craft in front of people who controlled her career. Sally already had 2 Emmy wins to her name, yet she felt reduced to an amateur. The power dynamic wasn't just unbalanced. Hoffman deliberately manipulated it. The real blow came days later. A mutual friend revealed that Hoffman had bragged at an industry party about sabotaging her audition. "The chemistry wasn't there," he reportedly smirked, "and I made darn sure of it." For weeks afterward, Sally questioned herself. Was her preparation insufficient? Had her interpretation been wrong? Eventually, clarity emerged through her humiliation. "It wasn't about my performance," she confided to a friend. "It was about power, about making sure everyone knew who was in charge." This experience transformed Sally's approach to her career. She implemented what she called her "no a-holes" policy. She would avoid anyone who confused talent with the right to demean others. "Some men mistake arrogance for genius," she once said candidly. "I learned to spot the difference." While Hoffman collected accolades, Sally built a career defined by more than just performances. She treated everyone on set with dignity. Perhaps that, more than any award, shows who truly deserved respect. But the story doesn't end there. The final name on Sally's list would shock even her most devoted fans. Number 6, Shirley MacLaine. The Steel Magnolias set should have been a celebration of female talent, but behind those emotional scenes, a storm was brewing. Oscar winner Shirley MacLaine quickly established herself as the alpha. She used subtle undermining and scene-stealing tactics that left Sally walking on eggshells. Sally had prepared for weeks for the film's most devastating cemetery scene. This was the emotional core of the entire film. But as cameras rolled, Shirley repeatedly interrupted with unscripted quips. She turned raw grief into something almost comedic. The director called cut 17 times that day. Shirley simply refused to let Sally have her moment. She kept hijacking the scene, a crew member revealed. The sabotage continued throughout filming. Shirley blocked Sally from camera angles. She openly critiqued her acting choices. She even interrupted her during press events. This betrayal cut especially deep. Sally had truly admired Shirley. She hoped for a genuine bond like their characters shared on screen. Instead, after an emotionally draining hospital scene, Shirley announced to the entire crew, "That's how you win your 3rd Oscar, darling. Some of us already know." Despite everything, Sally remained professional. Years later, when asked about working with Shirley, she would only say, "We had different approaches to the craft." The hesitation in her voice spoke volumes. Wrapping it all up, 6 names, 6 betrayals, 6 scars that shaped one of Hollywood's most beloved actresses. Sally Field's journey through cinema wasn't just about accolades and fans. It was a battlefield where she fought for respect against powerful men and one formidable woman. These feuds reveal shocking behavior from her co-stars, but they also show Sally's remarkable evolution. Reynolds taught her the danger of losing herself in someone else's shadow. Jones showed how coldness freezes creativity. Blake revealed how chaos often masquerades as genius. Woods exposed how intellectual bullying silences others. Hoffman proved that legends aren't always heroes, and MacLaine demonstrated how competition can poison collaboration. These weren't petty grudges. They were profound violations of trust that forced Sally to make a choice. Would she remain silent or find her voice? "I spent the first half of my career trying to make everyone happy," she once confessed. "I spent the second half remembering I deserved to be happy too." That's the real story here. Not just Hollywood icons behaving badly. It's about how a woman dismissed as cute found her strength in an industry designed to keep women small. While these 6 stars continued their careers unaware of their damage, Sally built something more valuable than fame. She built self-respect. The question isn't whether these stars deserved her resentment. The question is whether Hollywood ever deserved Sally Field at all. Which revelation shocked you most? Has this changed how you view these legendary actors? Share your thoughts below. And subscribe for more untold Hollywood stories that will change how you see your favourite stars forever.